If you really want to get a handle on Pakistan, you've got to look right at the heart of its federal government. And that's this one single, really powerful institution, the National Assembly. So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what it is, who's in it, and why the decisions made inside its walls end up shaping the entire nation.
And to really get a feel for its power, we have to go all the way back to the beginning. In his very first address to the Constituent Assembly, Pakistan's founder, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, made one thing crystal clear. He said this wasn't just some meeting of representatives. It was a sovereign body with all the legislative power. That single idea, it really sets the stage for everything the Assembly is meant to be.
So, what is it officially? Well, the National Assembly, also known as the Aiwan-e-Zerine, is the lower house of Pakistan's parliament, which is called the Majlis of Shura. Now, there's also an upper house, the Senate, but the National Assembly is where the real power lies, and that's because it's the chamber that's directly elected by the people. It's their voice.
Okay, so who are the people actually sitting in this chamber? It all comes down to one number. And believe me, understanding this number is pretty much key to understanding how the whole country is run.
I mean, think about it. Every single law, every government, every budget, it all comes down to the votes of these specific individuals. 336. That's the magic number. The National Assembly has 336 members. But, and this is a big but, they aren't all chosen in the same way. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. The vast majority, 266 members, are directly elected. It's what's called a first-past-the-post system. Basically, whoever gets the most votes in their district wins the seat. Simple as that. But that's not the whole story. The Constitution also sets aside seats to make sure the Assembly's more representative. 60 seats are reserved for women and 10 for non-Muslims. Now, these aren't directly elected. Instead, they're given to political parties based on how well they did in the general election. It's this kind of blended system that's designed to create a more inclusive legislature.
So, we know who is in the Assembly. But how do these 336 members actually get anything done? Who's in charge here, and how is all that power organized? Well, it really comes down to two main roles that run the whole show. First, you have the leader of the House. That's the Prime Minister. This person commands the majority, and their job is to push the government's agenda. Then, on the other side, you've got the Speaker. Think of the Speaker as the neutral referee. Their job isn't to take sides, but to manage the debates, enforce the rules, and just make sure the entire legislative process runs like it's supposed to. And this chart here gives you a really clear picture of that fundamental power balance. The government is formed by whichever party or coalition of parties holds the majority of seats. As you can see, that's about 71% right now. Everyone else, the remaining members, they form the opposition, and their job is absolutely critical. They're there to question the government, to hold them accountable, and to offer up alternative ideas. Now, each National Assembly gets elected for a 5-year term. After those 5 years are up, it's automatically dissolved and it's time for new elections. But, and here's the crucial part, the Prime Minister can actually advise the President to dissolve the Assembly early. If that happens, it triggers what's called a snap election. All right. That brings us to the Assembly's biggest, most fundamental job, making laws. So how does a simple idea get transformed into an official act of parliament? Turning an idea into a law is a real journey, and it's got a bunch of hurdles. It all starts as a bill. That bill gets introduced, and then it's debated and voted on. If it passes, great, but it's not done yet. It then has to go to the other house, the Senate, and survive the exact same process all over again. And what if they can't agree? Well, then both houses can meet for a joint sitting to try and hash things out. It's only after a bill clears all of these stages that it finally goes to the president to be signed into law. But a lot of the most important work actually happens away from the main cameras. Before a bill even gets to the main floor for that big vote, it's sent to a specialized standing committee. These are small groups focused on specific areas like finance or foreign affairs. This is where the real nitty-gritty work gets done. They debate the fine print, they hear from experts, and they make changes. It's really the engine room of lawmaking. So let's pull all of this together. We know who's in the Assembly, we know how it works, but in the grand scheme of things, why is this institution so incredibly important? Its jobs are just massive and all interconnected. First and foremost, of course, it's the main lawmaking body. But it's also a watchdog, keeping the government in check. And this is huge. It controls the nation's wallet. It has exclusive power over the budget.
All of this is built on its most basic role, being the voice of the Pakistani people. And its ultimate power? With a two-thirds majority, the assembly can actually amend the constitution itself. So here's what it all boils down to. The National Assembly isn't just a fancy building. It's the arena where laws are made, where governments are held accountable, and where the will of the people hopefully finds its voice. And that leaves us with one final and really important question to think about. As that direct link between the people and the state, how does the ever-shifting balance of power inside this one chamber truly shape the future of Pakistan?